Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's fourth video. Going to have a look at the weather for today's 14 days for today's fourth video. Day 10 is going to take us to the 27th of June, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and CET Ensembles. Maybe we'll try in a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. Gets us in towards the middle phase of July, and I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that first, the video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We've also released a weekend forecast and an EC for today as well. If that wasn't enough, we've got the 5th Glasgow update coming up for you this evening between 6 and half past. So 5 videos today. Epic day of content. Please like, share and subscribe on all of today's videos and content. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. And while I'm saying thank you, I've got to say thank you so much to Simon Spires. Thank you so much, Simon, for your super thanks on yesterday's Storm Watch. Thank you so much, my friend, for your amazing super thanks. Thank you so much to all of you for your super chats, your super thanks, your donations to PayPal, all of the incredible money that you donated for the charity event for Rainbows as well. It's unbelievable the support that you give to me and to GavsWeatherVids. So thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much, of course, to Simon Spires. Right, okay, let's start video then. So we're going to begin with Tropical Atlantic actually very early for this, but we have got a disturbance area, an area of interest here at the National Hurricane Center website from NOAA for this. So yes, for the first time this season we've got this orange X here. That is disturbance 1 with a 40% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 days, a 70% chance in the next 7 days. They're saying a tropical wave located several hundred miles southwest of the Cape Verde Islands is producing a broad area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions appear conducive for additional development, and a tropical depression is likely to form by the early to middle portion of next week, while the system moves westwards at 15-20 miles an hour across the eastern and central tropical Atlantic. So wow, that could develop into a tropical storm and or a hurricane. And it's very early for that. It's only the 17th of June. So we've got an El Nino that's developing as well, and generally El Nino will dampen down the tropical Atlantic tropical seas, because you tend to get more storms in the Pacific when there's an El Nino going on. So quite interesting that already we are seeing tropical development there. Doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the season will carry on like that, but you know, we've got a very warm Atlantic sea surface temperature anomaly as well, so we're going to have that fighting against the El Nino, I think, this summer and autumn for ascendancy. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. We'll keep everyone informed about that. Of course, that could be Hurricane Arlene. Goodness gracious. Right, central temperature continuing its inexorable rise. We are now sitting at 16.3, which is 2.2 degrees above 61.99 average. That is visual to yesterday, to the 16th of June. Going to do a little bit of CET Saturday for you. So putting it all into context, visit the CET page back from the UK Met Office, goes all the way back to 1659. The central temperature is the oldest and most reliable temperature record anywhere on Earth, although, of course, the better you go, the more unreliable everything starts to become. Now, if we come down to the current year, 2023, we can see what's happened so far this year. We have a relatively mild January at 5.2, an exceptionally mild February at 6.5. March comes out at 7 degrees, a little bit above average. April also a bit above average, and then May goes warm at 12.5. June's number will be placed just there. So last year actually wasn't that warm, to be honest. It was 14.9, a bit above average, but the real heat kicked in. Other than a one-day hot spell that we had this day last year, actually 17th of June last year was a very, very hot day. I know that because it was my mum's funeral day. It was really, really hot for that day. But otherwise, it wasn't all that hot, June 2020, and the heat really kicks in through July and August, both coming out with plus 18 Celsius CETs. Before that, we have 15.5 and 15.3, pretty warm. 2019, not that warm at all, 14.2. The last really warm Junes at 16 degrees and 16.1 were 2017 and 2018, respectively. Looking for a couple of quite cold Junes. So we had a pretty cool one in 2013. That came out at 13.6. And 2012, 13.5. 2011, 13.7. So 3 coolish Junes there. And our last sort of genuinely cool June was in 2015 at 13.9. We go even cooler than that, though. So if we go back into the 1990s, our last very cold June was this one just here, 1991 at 11.9. That was one of the coldest Junes on record, but not quite. Coldest June on record is actually 1972 at 11.8. It's only a few years after that, but we have like one of the hottest Junes on record, which is 1976. In fact, this is the hottest June of the 20th century. And the UK Met, when they do their monthly averages, they will say 1976 is like the hottest June on record, but we can go even hotter than that, I will explain in a moment, but that's at 16.9. Now, of course, 1976, June 1976 has been corrected downwards, because that always used to be a nice round 17 degrees on the previous version of the CET index. They've done a little bit of tweaking at Hadley and Exeter, and so that's gone from 17.0 to 16.9. They've put 0.1 of a degree off that, so I don't know why, just corrected it by 0.1 of a degree. So it's gone from 17.0 to 16.9. Nevertheless, that is like the hottest June of the 20th century, but we can go even hotter than that, actually, if we go a very, 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 very long way back, almost up to the top of the index, actually. We have had 2 18 Celsius CET Junes. And the first one of those is the year of 1676, just here, where we get a nice round 18.0, which is absolutely phenomenal. It follows on from an even colder June than, like I've said like 1991, college record at, what was it, 11.8. Well, 1675, June 1675 actually came out at 11.5. And then the next year we had this phenomenally hot June at 18.0. This is back in the era of the more the minimum, of course, and we're still into the Little Ice Age in this period, which means the weather isn't cold all the time. A lot of people think that in the Little Ice Age and more the minimum, the weather is continuously cold all year, every season. A lot of the time it is very cold, but what we also get, of course, with a more meridional flow, as we would have in this era, we can also find ourselves on the hot side of the blocking areas of high pressure. So, for example, we have June 1676 at 18.0, and then July 1677 at 18.0. So hot months, very hot months, did still occur even back in the Little Ice Age, but it just didn't occur as frequently, and there were many, many more cold, very cold, or even severely cold months and seasons, and particularly winters, in this era than we get now. But even that is not the hottest June in the entire CET index. 1676, 18 degrees is not the hottest June. There is one, but it's hotter, and again we got to go down the index, and we go into the 1800s, and we find it just there. I've done a historic video about this. It's 1846. 1846 is the hottest June on the entire CET index record at 18.2. So yes, we've had 2 18 Celsius CET Junes, both of them hundreds of years ago, not happened since that, since those years. So I would suspect this June has the possibility, has the potential to go above 1976, has the potential to be a 17 Celsius CET June, and we'll hear about, if that happens, we'll hear about how it's the hottest June on record. But keep in mind, if we was to go back into the 1800s and 1600s, we would find June's better hotter. Only 2 of them, but we would find a couple of Junes better hotter. I don't think we'll get into the 18s with this June, because remember, we did start off with 1 week that was actually cooler than average. The first week of June this year was actually below average. So I would suspect we potentially could get into the 17s, but I think 18s off the table. So 1842. And what was it? 16, where are you? 16. I've lost my place on the index. Where are I? There we go, 1676 there. So I would suspect 1676 and also 1846. Those 2 are safe, I think. Famous last words, but I think they are. Anyway, that's a little bit of CET Saturday. Hope you found that interesting and informative. Let's carry on then. So these were GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Next couple of weeks on Derby today. The red line is the Virginia upper air temperature average for Derby. You see how we're starting off above average at the moment. Just generally saying solidly above average from beginning to end. So yes, there's nothing more to say about that other than this very warm June is set to continue, and that is the reason I'm saying we could well beat 76 and get into the 17s. I think with this June, if this warmth is sustained, I think we could easily put on another degree. We're already at 16.2, so I think we could easily put on another degree, but I think it would be a tough ask to put on another couple of degrees. You will notice there's some hot outliers in there as well. We had one yesterday, there's a couple more of them today, including the operational runs of the GFS, both midnight and the 6th become quite hot later on, but some of the outliers, a couple of them are going up to plus 20, or near plus 20, 850 HPA there, right at the very end of the month. So there is the potential that we could turn very, very hot at the end of June and into the start of July. I would suggest it's probably no more than around 10, 15, 20%. Low chance of that happening at the moment, but obviously after what's happened over recent summers, we do need to keep a close eye on it. As it is going to be solidly warm, if not very warm, or at times hot over the next couple of weeks. Not settled though. Quite a few precipitation spikes coming up over the next week. A lot of that's going to be heavy showers and thunderstorms. Bit of a drier interlude as we go to around the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, just here. Then perhaps morning wave precipitation again around the 25th, drier for a couple of days around 26th, 27th, and then right month's end there could be more heavy showers and thunderstorms then. So, quite unsettled actually given the temperature, but it does look as though we could get some very hot conditions, low risk of that by the end of the month. Temperature anomalies from the 17th, 25th June going to be significantly above average, not just for UK and I, but for most parts of Europe too. And precipitation anomalies are actually a bit wetter than average, especially in central northern regions from the 17th, 25th of June. So hot or very warm and wet conditions to come. Latest weather map from urbanoldschool.net shows about the thundery trough of low pressure in the Atlantic is getting closer to us. Wow. So, yes, this thundery trough is bringing a change and will bring some explosive thunderstorms, I think, tomorrow. So I did storm watch yesterday evening, and if you haven't seen it, have a look, see what we was projecting, but some pretty volatile weather could be on the way tomorrow. Okay, let's start going through chart data then. So we're going to have a look at the UK Meteo run first of all. This is for midnight on Tuesday. So that area of low pressure out to the west and to the northwest. So, it's going to be showery, quite warm. Could be thunder mixing as well. As we go through next week, the UK Met wants to build up this ridge from the Azores high. So towards the end of next week and into next weekend, this looks very nice. The Glasgow goers, high pressure ridging in from the Azores should bring lots of dry and very warm dishes to the south. Still a little bit unsettled over Scotland Northern Ireland with this area of low pressure potentially bringing some cloud and outbreaks of rain. Icon again looks rather volatile on Tuesday with a thundery trough sitting close to the country That eventually gets out of the way by the end of next week as high pressure builds up from the Azores. And so by next weekend, we're well truly under a nice area of high pressure 1030 millibars, bringing lots of dry, warm, very warm, potentially low hot conditions with it. Let's have a GFS midnight run. Is looking again. We're looking rather showery and thundery through the early part of next week. Later on next week, we try and ridge up some high pressure from the Azores, but it struggles a little bit compared to like Ucumit and Icon. But I think the southern areas it probably does turn mostly dry and warm. But out in the northwest, it's still a little bit unsettled next weekend. Then we sort of build up this ridge from the Azores, and we get day 10. That should bring lots of dry and warm weather to the south. Again, always a little bit more unsettled to the north. Beyond that, we start to see some very, very hot temperatures building over France, Spain, Portugal. They're plus 20 Celsius isotherm into northern parts of France, plus 25 Celsius isotherm into the south of France. And that heat is desperately trying to plume northward. So we've got thundery low here over France and coming into southern parts of the UK by the 1st of July. That could bring risk of torrential thunderstorm, but also pulls up this hot air from the south. So that was like a melting pot as we get to the beginning of July. Very thundery, hot, humid, temperatures into the 90s Fahrenheit. Would have thought with that. And we aren't all that far away from some very extreme heat over France, the Low Countries, and Germany. So a very slight adjustment would start to bring that plus 20 Celsius isotherm into country. Remember, the reason we get excited about the plus 20 Celsius isotherm is that that's where what we need really to get the temperature to around 37, 38. And when you get to 37, 38, of course, that's 100 Fahrenheit or more. Right, so that's the end of the GFS Midnight Run. This was 6Z. Once more, we've got this thundery trough close to country on Tuesday. Beyond that, so low pressure comes meandering in from the it's just not completely settled with the GFS output today compared to the other models for this end of week, next weekend period. Low pressure having more of an influence. Probably still reasonably dry down in the south, but for central northern regions, rather wet and windy. Now, notice that far left of the screen as you're looking at it, that is potentially tropical storm and or Hurricane Arlene moving into the North Atlantic. That's that disturbance area that we started off talking about in the video. Right, okay, so beyond that, we begin to push up high pressure from the south as we come towards the very end of June. That's got hot air established with it over the continent. There's the upper air temperature. Look how hot it is over France, Spain, Portugal, and into Bay of Biscay, plus 25 Celsius isotherm there. It's well north into Bay of Biscay, plus 20 Celsius isotherm. It's just off the southwest tip of England. We don't pull in that extreme heat because a thundery area of low pressure is triggered by that hot air. So that actually keeps the hottest of the upper air temperature just away from plus 20 Celsius isotherm. Just glancing the East Anglian coast there on the 1st of July. But I mean, it's so far away, it's like 2 weeks away, and subtle adjustments could mean that we are engulfed in another very intense heat wave there if that was to come up. We finish up with the GFS 6Z looking like that, reaching the Azores high back in from the southwest again, and presumably off and running we will go into another spell of pretty fine, very warm, to potentially hot conditions. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. Drop a comment. Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. I finally caught up with all of the comments last night. I was up till about 2 a.m. Going through all of the comments, but I have caught up finally with all of your comments. So drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. We have just gone past 16.8k, 60.3k as well, by the way. So thank you so much, everybody, for getting us to 16,300 subscribers. We're going to push on, get 17k as fast as we possibly can. Thank you so much, everybody. Right, GM, again with that trough of low pressure, thundery trough to the north and west of the country on Tuesday. And beyond that, we start to build up some higher pressure, or try to, through the end of week into next weekend. Brings drier weather to the south and the east, with showery patches still for the north and the west. That looks nice by the time you get through day 10. The south, anyway, very warm, potentially quite hot and mostly dry, a little bit more showery up in the north. And then the ECM rounds it all off with a thundery trough low pressure in off the Atlantic through the open next week, and high pressure reaching up from the southwest brings mostly dry warm weather to the south, a little bit more unsettled with low pressure out to the north and the west, though. It doesn't look too bad for Glasgow there with the ECM. That's all we're going to get day 10. So high pressure probably still bring mostly dry weather to the south. Could be a little bit more unsettled though further north. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from meteo.com. So showers coming and going today and tonight, but tomorrow, but showers really kick off. And there'll be some very big downpours, thunderstorm, torrential rain in some places. It looks like a lot of it's avoiding Glastonbury though, so perhaps won't have to worry too much about wet ground down there. That thundery weather gets out of the way overnight from Sunday to Monday. Monday has sunshine and showers, and there's more sunshine and showers really through Tuesday and Wednesday as well. The trend then through Thursday, Friday and into next weekend, it should bring wet weather into the north and west, but the south should get a lot of dry weather for much of the time. Most of the rain is away to the north and west, and by day 10, that's how it look wet for Scotland and Wales, northwest England, mostly dry elsewhere. These are the options on the table within the ECM Ensembles today for day 10. Gets us 27th of June. 16 members of the ECM Ensembles have low pressure away to the northwest. High pressure is to the south-southwest. Winds coming in from a flat westerly direction. That does include the control and the operation run. 14, a bit stronger, with that ridge of high pressure down to the southwest. Should keep most parts of the country mostly dry. 13 have high pressure more or less over slightly to the east of the country. That looks pretty dry and potentially very warm as well. And then 8 with low pressure in the North Atlantic, high pressure around France, and winds coming in from a westerly direction. Dries weather in the south, most of the settled conditions in the north. And then 2 week time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to the 2nd of July. 21 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure dropping in to the north and west of Europe. That's obviously turning cool and unsettled there, cool and showery. 17 with low pressure to the north of Scotland, again looking a little bit on the showery side, and 13 with high pressure out to the Atlantic, should bring quite a lot of dry weather out to the Atlantic. What's going on around here? We're probably under a shallow trough or something, so it'll be a little bit on the showery side, but the most unsettled option, of course, is this from the 21 here, where we have a proper deep area of low pressure over and to the east of the country. CFS V2 finally, and then we're done with this CET Saturday video. So 500 millibar height in order to bring down 2 week periods. The first week period takes from the 17th 23rd of June. The coming week has high pressure over Scandinavia, low pressure to our south and southwest. Winds coming up from a southeasterly direction. That could bring very warm but potentially quite thundery weather in the next week. Week 2 will be the 24th to the 30th of June. Again, high pressure reaches up from the southwest, means mostly dry and potentially very warm weather into the south. Could be a little bit showering out to the northwest. Week 3 it's going to be the 1st to the 7th of July. High pressure ridging in from off the Atlantic. Should bring quite a lot of dry weather. Probably cooler with more of an Atlantic flow though. And then week 4 is the 8th to the 14th of July, and is also dominated by high pressure over the country. So strong and stable ridge air through the first half of July should bring lots of dry, warm conditions with it. We'll see. We're done. If you enjoyed the video, please leave you like, share, subscribe, show everybody, do that, drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos, and don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids and ask them to subscribe too. And it's amazing, it's incredible. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, okay, so that would normally be the end of content on Saturday, but we've got one more video to go, and that will be the 5th Glastonbury update released around 6:30 this evening. So just coming up tomorrow, big day coming up tomorrow. GavsWeatherVids, perhaps the biggest day of the year. We're going to start off 6 AM. UK weather forecast, have a 10 to 14 day, but at 7 PM, we're going to be premiering the winter 2023-24 NAO forecast. So, yes, here we go again. Time for another NAO forecast and premiere. You get your glad rags ready. I shall see you on the red carpet. I'll watch it. I'll be in the live chat watching, the premiere with you. And there'll be a countdown, to begin as well. So, it's going to be epic. I can't wait to see you all for the premiere tomorrow at 7 PM. Wow. For this video, that's all for now, and thank you so much for watching.